I'm going to do a setup on a PRS guitar. I'll start by stringing the guitar through the block. It's a tremolo setup, and we'll demonstrate how these new low mass locking pegs work that we've been putting on the guitars for a while now. And I string them 3 at a time. Okay, start with the low E string. Now what you want to do is you want to line the hole through the shaft of the peg up this way with the headstock, pointing towards the nut slot. Back the set screw off. Make sure it's in the slot. Pull it tight. You want as little slack as possible. Finger tight, and then you turn it maybe half a turn. That's sufficient. Not so much that you break the string off, but enough so that it holds under tension. Now it's important not to over tighten these. You can run into problems. You can break strings. You could damage the threads if in extreme cases. So you do have to tighten them, but you don't have to over tighten them. You don't have to use a great deal of force. Okay, now in general I tend to nip these off pretty close so that you don't poke holes in yourself later. These screws need to be adjusted for equal height, and you need to sight down from looking down at this angle. You need to sight down these screws to make sure that the notch just below the head of the screw is engaging with the knife edge. They all need to be on the same plane. You need to make sure that this end of the bridge and this end of the bridge are equal height off the body. And it's important that when you adjust these screws that you do it incrementally. You know, you don't cut across the knife edge like adjust one a whole bunch. You maybe do it an eighth or at the most a quarter of a turn for each screw. And these are factory set, and it shouldn't be necessary to fool with them that much, but if you acquire a guitar that's not set up properly, that's a key thing. It's something that you'll want to make sure is adjusted and stays adjusted, because that's important for your tremolo operation and for just the overall performance of the guitar. Okay, it looks like it's pretty even. All sitting in the notches properly. Almost. Back this one off just a hair. Looks good. Okay, now we have a slight forward tilt to the bridge. The bridge itself looks like it's about the right height off the body for a, an overall good setup on one of these things. It varies somewhat with the neck angle from guitar to guitar, but about 1/16 of an inch is good. Alright, having located my truss rod ridge, I'm going to place it on the truss rod adjusting nut, and we're going to turn clockwise. Now I've got the string, the high E string, depressed at the first and last fret, and I'm looking at the relief in the neck towards the middle of the neck. Okay? And you just keep adjusting it minute increments until you get it, till it's, you don't want it to touch all the frets, but you do want it, you want it almost flat, in my opinion. I like very little neck relief, and that's our spec. So we go for very little neck relief, maybe between 5 and 10 thousandths at the most. In some cases less. And what I've got here is I've got, it almost touches the frets, but not quite. You've got just a little bit of movement here. You've got maybe 5 thousandths the thickness of a piece of paper, or a little bit more here at the 8th or 9th fret, something like that. So, okay, having adjusted the neck, now I'm looking at this bridge and it's tilting too far forward. So that means that the claw here in the back, the spring claw, needs to be adjusted. And so what I'll do is I'll just turn it a couple of turns on each one. You try to keep these pretty even there. It's not real critical, but it's generally a good idea. Okay, we're going to do it some more. tune it to pitch, take a look at your adjustment, take a look at what you've got, so you don't waste time over adjusting it. It looks like I've got it just about perfect. Slightly forward tilt on the bridge, so it's more or less on the same plane with the area of wood between the pickups. Okay, I'm adjusting the individual heights of the saddles. Now this may change the tilt of the bridge because it changes the leverage. So you may have to go back. See, every adjustment you make on an electric guitar, or any guitar really, affects everything else. So sometimes you have to go through the sequence several times. But now I'm checking each saddle individually with the machinist's rule, which you can buy almost anywhere. Any good hardware store will have these. And I'm measuring on the 32nds of an inch scale. You know, I'm going 2/32 on the treble side to a little over 2/32 on the bass side. You know, just so you can see the line. And I've, you know, seen people set their action 5/64 on the bass side, which is another 15 thousandths above the 1/16 measurement that I use. So you can sort of season to taste, but these are guidelines that we use, and this is what we do at the factory. One thing you can do is you can sight down the strings. You want the strings to have a slight curvature to them, just like the 10-inch radius. So you can really tell, you can get a good idea for, you know, your adjustment, you know, what needs adjusting. If one string looks like it's higher in relation to the rest and it's not following that arc, you know, then you can make minute adjustments from that, and then you just want to keep measuring. And what I'll do is I'm going to bring it up on the bass side just a little bit. And you want to look down and make sure that your saddles aren't tilted.